Good morning. Welcome to the Fiducian Financial Services budget update for 2020. Brought to you from my flat in South Melbourne. As most of you are aware, in Victoria we're still working from home where possible, and certainly I'm working from home at the moment. So apologies for the background, but I'm sure that's not going to be an issue as to what we want to talk about this morning. So last night, Treasurer Frydenberg handed down his second budget, the much delayed 2021 federal budget, clearly delayed as a result of the COVID-19 crisis that we're currently all living through and dealing with at the moment. As has been noted by a number of commentators on the budget, it's a big spending budget, a budget that has clearly shown that a government which has been all about budget surplus and budget repair has decided to go big or go home, as they say, and they've certainly gone big in terms of the amount of spending, leading to some pretty significant deficits over the coming years. Without getting into the actual numbers in terms of what those deficits look like, I thought we'd just touch on maybe a few of the key outcomes from the budget. Won't be looking at everything, but maybe just some of the ones that are most likely to affect clients of the Fiducian Financial Services Group. I think firstly, the one that will impact pretty much everyone is the tax changes. So part of the budget was that in the 2020 financial year, so the 2020-21 financial year, the budget cuts that had been proposed for the 2022 financial year are being brought forward, and they will be effective 1st of July this year. So those budget cuts will mean that for pretty much everybody, there will be a tax return immediately for tax that has been overpaid from 1st of July this year till the budget announcement. And that should be available, the government proposes, within weeks, which will be interesting to see how that is actually processed. Clearly, it's targeted at lower to middle income earners, and it could produce a reduction in tax of somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000, depending on people's salaries. The second key issue or key component of a budget which was clearly around job creation and producing further economic activity was the job Maker Allowance. So from October this year, so from the 5th of October, the budget night, employers will be provided with a supplement of up to $200 per week to provide jobs for currently unemployed young people. So for employment of someone aged between 16 and 29, the employer will receive a subsidy of $200 per week for up to 12 months. And for someone aged between 30 and 35, that will reduce to $100 per week for the 12 months. So that's the JobKeeper supplement. There's a lot of detail around that in the budget, but in essence, it simply provides a support from the government to employers to employ people who are currently unemployed, particularly young people. There was some good news for people who are on pensions, so age pension, disability pensions, those people on carer payment and carer allowance, anyone on the Commonwealth Seniors Healthcare Card and family tax benefits, and those people who are on eligible DVA benefits will be entitled to a $250 supplement just before Christmas this year, and then there will be a second supplement paid of $250 in March of 2021. So that's the main changes. There's a few changes around eligibility for family allowances and family care as well, which was just a continuation of what's already in place. And finally, the government did make some announcements around aged care, in particular the release of 23,000 new home care packages. At quite an expense, but that's something that the government has done. That's on top of previous announcements of new home care packages, which is the main one. They've also announced further training for support staff inside aged care and in health in general around dementia and disability. And there were some announcements around further funding for the NDIS, National Disability insurance scheme, and also a full rollout of that NDIS across the country. So those changes will come into place. There was also some discussion around providing specialist care for younger people so that they can go into residential care without necessarily having to go into aged care. So that's really the highlights of the budget for this year. There wasn't an awful lot around individual superannuation. There was some discussions around, or there was some release around how superannuation funds will have to act for the coming years, in particular in terms of stapling superannuation funds for clients who transfer jobs. But there was no change to the actual management and the structure of the superannuation funds, more as to how they are treated for people moving around amongst their workplace. So they were the main things I wanted to touch base on with you today. Look, there's certainly more information, and I strongly suggest that if you have questions, you contact your advisor. We've provided a full bulletin to the advisors on the main changes inside the budget for this year. But with that, thank you very much for your time, and hopefully you get something out of the budget, and please all stay safe and be careful in these current dangerous times. Thank you.